Hello and welcome to part 2 of the second race of the Icelandic Formula Offroad season. This is the final part of our coverage of the opening 2 rounds of the championship in Hella in the south of Iceland, and as usual the drivers started the day by walking the tracks, although I did not see anyone walk the river. After 3 courses, Aron Ingi leads Skúli Kristjánsson, Haukur Viðar and Geir Evert tied in 3rd place. Sigurður Ingi lying 5th. Now, track number 4 and the leader goes first. Aron Ingi Svansson leading in the storm. Only has 1 podium to his name in the unlimited class, and this track difficult to start with. That's penalty points for Aron Ingi. Big climb here, but manages that nicely. Drivers have free space up at the top to turn around, get themselves back down before the final climb. And these courses can be pretty tricky for the first driver. They will usually figure out the right or the wrong way to go up. And here is a big climb for the final one. Aron Ingi needs more power here, but surely he will lose the lead there. 40 penalty points. That's only 180 points for Aron. Next up, Geir Evert Grímsson driving the Sledgehammer. He was sitting 3rd before this track. Could take the lead here. Touches a marker that's probably 20 penalty points. Will he get through this gate? Yep, no penalty points there. Has seen how Aron Ingi did this and decides to do a similar route up at the top. Now has to follow this gate, go back down before a big final climb. Did it touch a marker there? Not sure, probably not. He's a bit lower than Aron was, and that is to take a straighter line here. Full throttle, Geir Evert gets thrown up there, managed to get through the gate. 350 for length and 40 penalty points. That means 310 for Aron, who is in the lead right now. Skúli Kristjánsson driving Simba. He needs a win here after a no score in the first round. Nicely done here at the beginning. No penalty points so far. Now for the final climb. Here he needs to push it. Seems to be getting a little bit easier as they go. 20 penalty points for Skúli, but as we have seen with all the tracks here, it gets a bit tougher. Now with Jón Reynir Andrésson on the Thunderbolt. He's been the crew chief for the BU racing team for the last 2 seasons, but is now behind the wheel. One of few who didn't make it up the first track, but has been steadily climbing the leaderboard ever since. We've seen him lack a bit of confidence in the bigger climbs. What will he do here? Gunning for it, gets all the power down. That car is working nicely. That's 340 points. Next up, Ingimar Björnsson driving the bomb. Got a 3rd place in the first round of the season, but day 2 not going as smoothly. That's big penalty points there. Let's see what he can do here with the final climb. There's no drive on the rear there. That's a rear drive shaft broken, so a bad day gets worse, and only 150 points. Next up, Haukur Viðar Einarsson driving Hekla. He needs a good run here after seeing Skúli and Geir Evert going all the way. Could also jump Aron with a nice drive. Now for the final climb. All the horsepower being used. Gets thrown off track, but managed somehow to pull it back in. Nice driving from the championship leader, which sets him up with 330 points. Next up, Sævar Benónýsson driving Móri. Still getting used to the new car. Formula Offroad in general. This is his first race weekend. Gunning for the final climb here. Gets thrown up in the air there at the beginning, but managed to get a wheel through the final gate. So that's only 40 penalty points for him, 310. Next up we have Ingvar Jóhannesson driving the Viking. He talked about the suspension not being the way he wanted, a bit stiff at the front, and it needs to be adjusted for the next race, he says. But let's see how he gets on here in the 4th track of the second race in Hella. It's a penalty there. Now, the final climb. Doesn't manage to get it turned. This will mean reversing. That's 40 penalty points. And now, the push for the final gate. Goes for it, gets thrown up there in the air, misses the final gate. That's only 110 points. Next up, we have Svanur Tómasson driving insane. The beginning of this course getting tougher, and this is Svanur stuck. That completely caught us off guard. Nobody had any troubles with the first gates. Reverses, but that doesn't get him any further. That's only 60 points for Svanur. That's devastating for the veteran. Next up, we have Þórður Atli Guðnason driving the Spade. It's his second season in the Formula Offroad and got a podium in the last round last year. Second place in the first race of this year. However, he lost a lot of points in the first track of the day with faulty transmission. No problems for him here during the first gates. Final climb, what can he do? Þórður guns for it here. Bit of a jump there, but managed to get it settled and nicely through the final gate. That's only 20 penalty points. Next up, Sigurður Ingi Sigurðsson driving Yippee. Got a solid 5th place on day 1 and was sitting 5th before this track. Big penalty points there. Final climb, Sigurður Ingi needs a clear run here, which is not getting, or what? Yes, managed to get it turned there, but that's 100 penalty points. Next up, we have Fjölnir Guðmason driving Eva. We got a couple of top 5 finishes last season, but this really hasn't been his weekend or Eva's weekend. There's been engine issues, kind of sound like engine management issues, and that is not the correct way to go. He misses the final gate. 190 points for Fjölnir. Next up, we have Guðmundur Eliasson. Similar route for him, and that's 190 points as well. Final climb getting tougher. This is Þór Pálsson. He missed the 3rd track of the day after damage caused in track 1. Missed his starting place in this track, so he only gets 50% of the points available, so it's absolutely vital for him to finish the course. Tries a different way in, and the suspension working nicely, and that is a 350 point run. Disappointing for Þór to only get 50% of the points. So, Skúli Kristjánsson, the champion, leads Haukur Viðar, the championship leader, by 10 points after 4 courses. Geir Evert is sitting in 3rd. Next up, we have the legendary river at Hella. Yesterday, the cars drove upstream, but now it's the classic layout downstream. Here we have Geir Evert Grímsson in the Sledgehammer. This is a time attack, and Geir Evert has always been strong in the time attacks. After being down on power all last season, this will be our first chance to see this new car properly hydroplaning. Now gunning for the river, gets it nicely there into it, seems to be able to manage it all the way. Gets a bit bouncy there during the middle, but this should be a full run, and it is. 33.78 seconds this time around. That will end him up with 319 points. Next up, we have Skúli Kristjánsson driving Simba. Needs to at least match Geir Evert's time to keep the lead. He's had some issues this weekend with the supercharger belt, so Skúli did not use full throttle here to prevent the belt from coming off, knowing how crucial it is to finish the time attacks. But here he gets dumped into the river. Managed to finish the course, but that's only 150 points for Skúli. Decided to go out of the river, use a small island that is there. Now we have Þór. Look at the power in that Raptor. In 2018 and 2019 champ. He bought his car off Snorri Þór Arnarsson before the season. Although Snorri never drove this car, but he did lend it to Atli Jamil last season. And Þór and Snorri are used to doing business together. Þór bought the choir boy off him in 2017 and sold it back to Snorri in 2021. We're not seeing Snorri this year, but look at the speed on the Raptor here. That's a fantastic run for him. 350 points, the fastest one, but look at all that smoke. He's blown a head gasket here. This really hasn't been Thor's weekend, and he will leave Hella not even in the top 5 in the championship. Next up, Jon Reynir Andersson in the Thunderbolt. Getting a bit bouncy here in the river. Will it make it the whole way? Jumping up to 4th here. Jon gets 190 points. We can see Thor checking out the Raptor. As usually, the police were there to measure the speeds of the cars in the river. Here we have Haukur Viðar Einarsson driving Hekla. This car is over 1,100 brake horsepower. Could be around 1,700 in the next race if the nitrous will be installed by then, because 1,100 simply isn't enough. Now the pushback. Let's see those horsepower work. Hydroplaning nicely here. There's no bouncing. There's just so much power. You have more speed on the water than Thor. However, his team time was slower. But being quicker than Geir Evert sees Haukur in the lead for the first time today. And with only one track left, that could be very strong. Now we have Sævar Bennisson driving Móri. Getting bounced a little, he just needs more power here. However, it's crucial to finish. 150 points for the slowest time. However, if you don't finish the course, you only get 50 points for finishing half. Trying to claw himself up. Will manage to do it. So that's 150 points for Móri. 10 penalty points though for going, well, touching the final gate. Next up, Ingvar Jóhannesson. The Viking gets thrown there. The stiff suspension is not helping him. Trouble there. Looks like he's getting stuck, and that is not a nice place to be stuck. Gets 75% of the track, so that's 75 points. Wet, cold, and only 75 points to show for. The search and rescue. Well, they might need to search him. He's so deep in the river. Next up, we have Svanur Thomasson driving Insane. Same problem as in the previous years. They can't keep the nitrous oxide warm. Despite enclosing it and wrapping it in heat blankets, the water finds its way to the canister. So Insane has no extra power and simply fails to hydroplane. Maybe try the roof next year. But he's a stubborn man and gets all the way 150 points. Look at the screen that's been built to try and minimize the water in the car. Thorvaldur Guðnios on the spade. Getting a bit sideways there, and that's going to slow him down. However, it's not deep there, but he doesn't seem to be getting back going. So that's only 50 points. Sigurður Ingi Sigurðsson driving Yippee. He has a good chance of taking 3rd place from Skúli here with a good time. But he gets dumped in there. So that's not going to be a great time. Will he get all the way? He's still moving. It gets a bit deeper, and there the car simply just stops. Or what? Still spinning its wheels and managed to get through, but that's only 150 points. So he's not going to be picking up anything from Skúli. Next up we have Fjölnir Guðmundsson driving Eva. Look at that. The engine finally working in Eva. That gives him 276 points. Next up, Guðmundur Eliasson driving Rodeo. The river is proving very difficult this year. There's a lot of water in it, and the drivers, well, they simply didn't know why. Might be more current, might be more water, whatever it was. Not a lot of cars finished the river, and only 50 points here for Guðmundur Eliasson. Now we have Aron Ingi Svansson and he literally sinks from first place to 11th in the space of 2 courses. 0 points for our Ingi. Next up, Ingi Már Björnsson driving the bomb. The crew had problems fixing the broken drive shaft, so Ingi Már missed the starting place and all chances of a decent result. And not managing to hydroplane here will mean that he only gets 150 points for finishing, but will only get half of that for missing his starting place. The veteran not quite having the same day as he had during the first race. So after 4 courses, the standings are Haukur Viðar leading Geir Evert by 45 points, Skúli Kristjánsson laying in 3rd, but a distant 3rd. So it will be a 2-driver shootout for the win here through the famous swamp. This is normal track now, not a time attack, so drivers need to be careful to not take down any sticks. First up we have Jón Reynir Andersson in Thunderbolt. Looking pretty good so far for the man sitting in 4th. There's a theory that being the first to tackle the mud is best. It should get worse when more cars have driven through it. But it's easy to get lost in the swamp. Let's see what Thunderbolt can do here. Now there's a right turn here through the deepest pit, which leads us on to the last straight. That's a nice run. He's securing 4th place, and if Skúli has a tough run here, going last in the starting order, he might even clinch 3rd from him. Next up, Ingi Már Björnsson in the bomb. He's only driving with the front wheels here, the rear drive shaft broken again, which is not helpful in these conditions, I can tell you. He's actually getting further than I would expect on only the front wheel drive. But there he stops. 150 points. Next up, Haukur Viðar Einarsson. He needs 310 points to guarantee a 2nd win this weekend, taking a demanding lead in the championship. Extra fenders there on the Hekla. Touches a marker there, that's 40 penalty points. They use flags in the swamp simply so the drivers manage to see them. Now Haukur needs to finish without touching any more markers to get 310 points that he needs to secure victory here. Haukur trying to get it pushed there. Getting a bit stuck. This might be tough for Haukur. Final stretch here. He's going through there, gets a bit stuck there. No, through the water. Hekla emerges. Will he get all the way? Wait. That's not the right way. That's out of bounds. However, he did not make a mistake there. He heard a misfire from the new engine and decided to quit. And the engine is broken. Luckily he has a spare big block Chevy he'll use in the next race, but that's only 160 points for Haukur. Disaster for the Hekla team, and that means that Geir Evert only needs 210 points to clinch the win here in Hella. Next up, Sævar Benrisson driving Móri. Has been a difficult first weekend with the new car, understandably, and might get more difficult here in the swamp. This is not something that drivers train. Sævar, so far so good. Did not have the power to float on the river, so this might get tough. A lot of horsepower needed here, but he's managed to keeping it rolling here. Should get some traction up on these banks, but he gets sunk pretty deep there. The car's sitting on something, but he managed to get over it. Pushing, gets a bit of grip there, gets pulled through the gate. So far, so good, but it gets tougher as we go further. The toughest part of the course up right now. Saivor driving More beautifully here. The car is pushing through. The deepest puddle is right in front of him. Will he manage to get through the right gate? Yes, he does. And now he just needs to push through the finish. So far, so good. To the right here, and that's a good way to end the weekend. And that means that Saivor finishes 6th on his debut. I think More needs a bath. Now Ingvar Johannesson driving the Viking. And a transmission failure pulls him out of the running, only 160 points for Ingvar. Next up we have Sigurður Ingi Sigurðsson driving Yippee. The mud is getting tougher, you can just simply see it. But Yippee pulls through. He's in a bit of a mess here. There's mud everywhere. But Yippee is stubborn. But not stubborn enough. And doesn't give up though. 170 points for Yippee. And this is not looking good for Geir Evert and Skúli. The mud is getting worse and worse, and well, simply just all the wheel spin here might even make it impossible to go through there. Next up we have Fjölnir Guðmundsson driving Eva. He had the power to hydroplane, but the mud eats the car alive here at Hella. Next up Guðmundur Eliasson. Look at how clean and pretty the car was. Was is the key word there, and Guðmundur does not go far, only 60 points. Some failure there. Now, the fight for first. Geir Evert Grímsson, the sledgehammer. He needs 210 points, and look at the speed that Geir Evert takes into the mud here, right at the beginning. Needs to get it turned to the left here. Goes a bit up on the grass. Now, will he manage to push through? Nicely done so far for Geir Evert. This is looking great. No penalties so far. Geir Evert will need to make it a little bit further than where we just saw Yippee stuck, and that will be 210 points and the victory here today. Needs to get around this corner. He's taking the speed, but he's getting bogged down. Is he stopping there? That might be disaster for Geir Evert. No, he's getting pulled through. Needs to go to the left here. No, that is it. Only 170 points, and that is not enough. That means that Haukur wins again in Hella. Now, Skúli Kristjánsson, he still has an outside shot to win. He needs 350 points to win Haukur by 1 point. No penalty points so far. Will he go all the way? The mud is getting so tough, it doesn't look like it. But Simpa is trying to push through. That's it. And that even means that Skúli is losing 3rd place to Jón Reynir, only 170 points. And Jón Reynir, the rookie, on the podium here in Hella. This means that Haukur Viðar wins again in Hella. Geir Evert comes in 2nd. Now the standings in the championship. Haukur Viðar leads with 40 points, full house after Hella. Geir Evert sitting 2nd with 25 points. Sigurður Ingi in 3rd. So that's it from Hella. The next 2 rounds will be at Egilsstaðir again on a Saturday and a Sunday. And as usual, we will bring you all the Formula Offroad action you need from those events. See you then!